Today I'm going to tell you the 5 supplements that I think everybody on a carnivore diet or a ketogenic diet should at least consider. These are the ones I take, and I want to tell you why. Hi, I'm Dr. Rick Godding. I'm a practicing orthopedic surgeon, and I'm on a quest to improve my metabolic health, to restore my metabolic health, to improve the metabolic health of all my patients, to learn as much as I can and teach as much as I can along the way. So I hope you come along on this journey with me, and let's get straight into it. So I'm going to give you 5 actual supplements that I think you should take, but I'm going to give you then a bonus one as well. And I'm going to start with the bonus one because it's sort of the biggest one in the group that is just easiest to kind of take care of, and that is sodium. Now, why do you need sodium specifically when you're on a ketogenic diet, and how much of it do you need, especially on the carnivore diet? Well, the reason is once you get to where your insulin is low in your body, and the reason you get a low insulin is because you're not taking in any glucose in your diet. If you're on a carnivore diet, you're on essentially 0 carbs, and that's what I've been doing. So I know that my insulin is going to be low because that's just how the body reacts to it. And we can go into that in a whole different video, but essentially your liver burns up all its glycogen stores and then it doesn't have any left. And if you're eating a proper carnivore or ketogenic diet with more fat than protein, there's not enough protein left for your liver to change that into glucose through gluconeogenesis. I know, lots and lots of word salad. That's not the point of this one. I just wanted to go over it a little bit. The idea is that your insulin goes low, your kidneys start to flush out your electrolytes and that excess fluid, and that's why you need to supplement your sodium. That's why you get that immediate burst of weight loss on the ketogenic diet or the carnivore diet. There's like 10 pounds of water that just flushes right out. You can look back at some of my earlier videos and see how puffy I looked before I started this diet, and that's why. So when the sodium is getting flushed out like that, I just use this supplement here. Yeah, I use salt. I use a lot of salt on my food. Now, as an aside, the salt that you get in the store, most of it will have iodine in it, and you can end up needing a little extra iodine if you're not eating enough fish. If you're, for instance, on the lion diet, you're not eating any fish or shellfish or shrimp or anything like that, you might want to think about supplementing some iodine or just sneaking in a shrimp with your steak every once in a while. But most of the time you wouldn't really need to supplement that. But if you want to hedge your bets, you just can get salt that is supplemented with iodine, iodized salt they call it. So somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 milligrams of sodium as a supplement should get you through the day on the carnivore diet. Sometimes I'll feel like I'm down a little bit. I'll either drink an LMNT pack, and I don't have any commercial relationship with them. I like them. They taste pretty good. Or I'll just take a teaspoon of salt and put it in some warm water and drink it. So sodium is not one of the 5. It's the bonus one. It's the first one. It's super important to get enough of because it can make you feel tired. If it got way too low, you could have real big problems, but I think you would have a lot of warning signs before that. But just make sure you get enough in your diet. Now, the second one is potassium, and again, it's another electrolyte. And when we say electrolytes, what we mean is these are charged ion particles. So they're little tiny atoms that sit out there by itself. Potassium and sodium, they're on the periodic table of elements. So these things are all ions or charged particles. But that's what we mean when we talk about electrolytes. So they're really basic. I mean, they're very, very basic. So potassium, again, insulin goes low. Potassium gets washed out of the kidneys because the kidneys are responding to that lower insulin by flushing out that fluid. Potassium can cause, the first thing you're going to notice, and I get this if I miss a day or two of my potassium supplements. I mean, I really got to stay on my potassium. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have a terrible cramp usually in my calf. Sometimes I have to jump out of bed and stretch it, and I'm limping the next day, and I haven't slept, so I'm all grumpy, and all of this because I didn't get enough potassium. And I can't just eat a couple of bananas because I'm on the carnivore diet. So I make sure I get about 400 milligrams of potassium a day. Now that might be a little much, but I know I don't take it every single day. Some days I forget, so I stack it up. Somewhere between 200 and 400 milligrams a day should keep you out of cramp trouble. And if 200 doesn't, go up to 400. And of course, you should talk to your doctor about all of this. This is not medical advice. This is what's working for me and things that I think you should consider talking to your doctor about. So sodium and potassium. And again, if your potassium gets way out of whack, if it gets very low or very high, you can get into serious trouble. But usually, if you're, unless you have some real problems with your kidneys, you shouldn't get too far out of whack. So the next thing is another electrolyte, magnesium. Now magnesium is much more important. So potassium is more important in the skeletal muscles. So those are the muscles that move your arms and your legs and all those, and your abdominal muscles. Smooth muscle is in your intestines and your arteries, and there's smooth cardiac muscle in your heart. And these muscles require more magnesium to function properly. So if you don't have enough magnesium, you can have big heart problems, you can have blood pressure problems, it can affect your sleep because it can affect how much melatonin is circulating in your body, which is a sleep hormone. But magnesium is very important, and there are some studies that show that just magnesium supplementation in and of itself, because both the standard American diet and the ketogenic diet are deficient in magnesium, just magnesium supplementation can improve your blood pressure. Again, I want to emphasize all of these things are likely, except for the sodium, all of these things are likely deficient in the standard American diet as well, certainly the potassium and magnesium. So sodium, potassium, magnesium. The next is vitamin D3. Now vitamin D3 is technically gets turned into a hormone in your body, but you're not going to get it if you live in the Midwest and it's December, like last time I had mine checked, and mine came out, the number was 20. The normal range is 30 to 120. Now vitamin D has a lot of regulatory functions in your body and hormonal functions, but one of the big things it does is help your gut absorb calcium. And if you don't get your gut absorbing calcium properly with vitamin D3, well, you can get osteoporosis, where your bones get brittle, or osteopenia, which is another term, a slightly different condition, but brittle bones. And this is why, especially in women, you want to make sure that your bones are building stock before menopause, when they invariably start to reduce in how strong they are and how much calcium there are in them. So you want to make sure you get the vitamin D3. Again, I had mine tested, mine was low. I make sure I get it every day. The next is vitamin C. Now, there is some controversy as to how much vitamin C is important in someone on a ketogenic diet. Well, there are some reports, you see a couple of reports online of people that were on a lion diet and they got scurvy or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. What I do know is you're not really getting much vitamin C if you're on a carnivore diet. There's a little bit, but if you eat the liver, that's one thing. I don't eat the liver. I'm not a big fan of liver. So I just make sure that I get some vitamin C. So vitamin C, vitamin D3, potassium, magnesium, sodium, and the last one, you have to supplement because there's no other way to really get it, and that is probiotics. So I started looking at probiotics when I was looking at the perioperative, or the health around the time of operation, for my orthopedic surgical patients. One of the things we do is we give you a big dose of intravenous in your veins antibiotics before you have a surgery so that you don't get an infection. One of the things that can do is that can cause dysbiosis, or it can cause the not so favorable bacteria that are already living in your intestine to overgrow. Now, when you get into this condition of dysbiosis, Sometimes it can even become dangerous after surgery if you can get what is called Clostridium difficile, which is one of those bacteria that's kind of lingering around in your colon, and it overgrows and it can become very dangerous. So in order to prevent that, I started giving my patients probiotics. Then I started to look into the research as to how important probiotics are in other ways. There is research showing that probiotics at the time of surgery reduce the mental fog that you get after your anesthesia. They reduce infections. It can reduce your necessity of pain medications. And then I started digging and digging, and I found out that there's studies that show that that gut dysbiosis can contribute to or even cause osteoarthritis, which is the breakdown of the cartilage at the end of your bones. I can go into that in another video, but just there is research showing that that is a very strong possibility, and it has been directly linked in rats in a model. Other is osteoporosis. Again, your bones getting weak because not only vitamin D3, but the appropriate bacteria are necessary in order for your gut to absorb the calcium that you're taking in your diet. And you should have plenty of calcium in your diet in a ketogenic or carnivore diet. Now, when I started the carnivore diet, I stopped my probiotics because I wanted to see what would happen to my gut over the course of a few months on the carnivore diet. So at 3.5 months, I sent mine off, and it sent back to me my results from the lab, and it said you need the 2 following bacteria mostly. Your gut's pretty good, but you need these 2: Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus. And wouldn't you know it, those are the 2 that I give my patients already. I couldn't believe it when I opened up my results. I said, wow, look at that. It's right in black and white in real-time science. Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus. All of the studies that I've read, most of the studies that I've read have shown that those are the 2 that if you supplement with probiotics, that it can help with all of these things, like reducing perioperative infections and reducing perioperative brain fog, and potentially helping with osteoarthritis and osteoporosis. There's psychiatry literature showing that these bacteria or having a good microbiome in your gut or having a good balance of the bacteria that are there can help with psychiatric issues. So don't underestimate the gut. I think doctors have been sleeping on gut health for a long time, and it's very, very important that you have a good, healthy, balanced gut. And so I would take a probiotic with Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus in it. So those are the ones: sodium, potassium, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin C, and probiotics. And I know I said 5 and that's 6, but I gave the sodium as a bonus because it's not really a supplement, although you can take it as one. You can just put it on your food too. But the way I make sure I get it is I take a multivitamin, which takes care of most of it, and even some of the things that I haven't even really researched deeply into. I think a multivitamin is an excellent idea, especially if you're over 50. I mean, that's why they have all these vitamins for people over 50, because you don't absorb things as well. So I take a multivitamin. On top of that, I take magnesium. On top of that, I take potassium. Okay, because you usually cannot get the magnesium and the potassium in your diet in your multivitamin. They usually don't have enough magnesium and potassium for someone on a ketogenic diet. So magnesium supplement, potassium supplement, and salt. You can get that in the LMNT pack, or you can take the pills like I typically do. And then probiotics and a multivitamin, and that should be one way to assure that you're doing well on this diet. I'm sure there's lots of other ways, other things. Right now, I am going through the process of identifying all these things and doing the deep research and learning and experimenting on myself. And this is what I've come up with, the ones that I would recommend to my patients. You should talk to your own doctor about it before you even get on one of these diets that changes your metabolic state. But these are the ones I take. These are the ones I recommend. I think you could take a good look at it. I hope you learned something. I hope this was useful information. If it was, If you don't mind, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to build a channel, I'm trying to build a community, and I'm trying to move forward with increasing the metabolic health of people in general. So thank you.